I have reviewed a lot of SFF cases. Some are great, some are not so great, but I've never reviewed a case that I couldn't actually build. Welcome to Machines More. So we talked about the pre-production unit Louqe Ghost R1 last year. That was the so-called Mark 1. And I think that Mark 1 version only made it as far as the channel here for the review because Louqe went back and they tweaked a few things. This one that is retail ready, that's shipping to customers as kind of the first run here, is called the Mark 2. Louqe sent this one by for me to take another look at, and really big thanks to them. One thing I want to be clear about is this is not a sponsored video. I'm not paid by Louqe to tell you about the case, and while I am appreciative of Louqe's support in providing a review unit, you're going to hear some negative feedback here today. My MO is always to provide a fair and objective view on the products that I review here, so please hit that subscribe button, support the channel if you enjoy that type of content. So I did want to be clear that I'm showing you this case as it is. I'm not sensationalizing anything here. I'm also not sugarcoating anything. I'm just coming at it from the perspective of a customer. And to Louqe, my hope is that the constructive feedback that I provide here helps you continue to improve, make this case better, because I really want to see this case how it should be, and I really want to see it do well. And I hope you realize that I'm trying to be as fair and tactful as I can be here. So I hope to be able to build in this case for real soon. So I'm going to talk through the changes to the case since I reviewed it last year. I'll show you some close-ups of the components, and I will tell you what went wrong here. So one thing I'll note, I don't have any of the Mark 1 components on hand anymore. I had to send those back to Louqe, so where applicable, I will throw up some of the B-roll from before so you can compare as needed. So to start, I'm going to show you some of the footage from the unboxing. You probably know that I don't do so-called unboxings here on this channel, but I promise this is relevant because this is how the pieces arrived to me in the box. It's not like they were just thrown into the box, but they kind of were, because you can see, stuff was moving around at will. Kind of is like it was thrown into the box just with bubble wrap and padding around it. So last year, the review unit that I got was a little bit better sorted. There were cardboard inserts with holes cut out to securely house the panels and such. Since this is a case that you have to assemble, this is pretty important, right? But since they packaged it this way, I don't have a good way to know if some of the blemishes, and yes, there are quite a few, I can't tell if those are a result of shipping or if that's just how it was made. On the panel edge, there was a blemish in the anodizing. This doesn't look like a scuff from shipping. This scratch here, scratch over here, really uneven machining marks. There's a few machine marks on the bottom panel. And I want to say these look like that's just how it was made, just going around the components, quite a few chips in the paint. So maybe those were from shipping. So anyway, it looks like a little bit of both, right? So either way, not good. One thing they did differently with Mark II is they anodized the outer components. The inner frame looks like it is still the same process as before, which is painted with this dark gray color. But this black anodizing that they went with here is really flat. A good thing is it hides fingerprints. It's smooth, but somehow it doesn't look, that even to me. The front and side and top panels, the anodizing is different, the texturing is different, and that's not good. For example, with the Fractal Terra here, the anodized black is very even throughout, but here you're not going to get that, and I'm not sure if they're doing it at the same time, because something definitely looks off. One of the things I mentioned in my previous review was the lack of a bottom panel, and I'm glad that they added a frame in, but there's still a lot of open holes there, right? I've thought perhaps there could be something a little bit closer. It doesn't have to be another top panel, but just, with a little bit more closed off areas there. Just for some protection, so some people will travel with this case, and if nothing else, it just did not feel complete without it. And now this is better. The back panel still has this big open hole here, So you could add a fan grill here, but it just feels odd to have to do that on this level of case, right? If you have cats or young kids, I know my 1-year-old would be all over this with a spinning fan here. So pretty sure inquisitive claws or paws will get into trouble here. So that and the anodizing are the main changes. The case still only supports mini-itx boards, and you can build it up as a classic upright mode or inverted. And I think most gaming or GPU focused users will be best served setting it up as an inverted mode, and that's what I plan to do when I can build in this case as well. So yeah, still the same layout as before. I wanted to do a full build in this, and I was still waiting for a killer GPU to finish off this build to show you, but I couldn't even get to that point because I couldn't even get this case off the ground. So what happened? So one of the first things you're supposed to do, based on the manual, is attach the GPU hanger, and that's this piece here, except I couldn't thread the screw in to the other side. I could only thread it on one side because the other thread post is not present. Without this, you can't hang the GPU, and I don't know how something like this slips through the line, but it did. Now, as a temporary fix, I could probably use a nut on the other side, but yeah, it's kind of janky, right? If you already got your case, definitely check the parts. Next, power button. Still the same style as before. You've got this frame that mounts to it and attaches it to the bottom panel. The top threads were tapped, but the bottom ones weren't. So yeah, it's frustrating because I can't actually put this case together, and you have to put this case together yourself, and I would be very unhappy. I guess unhappy is probably a nice way to put it. Unhappy if I paid premium money for this case, and this is what I got on top of the blemishes and the shoddy way that things were shipped. It just flat out doesn't work. Another few things to notice: that new anodization, it's a nice concept, but it doesn't match with the inner frame. Now, I know you won't normally see that, but on cases where that arrangement happens, usually the inner frame is the one with the nondescript color like black, and then you have cosmetic outer panels that are a little bit shinier or colored, right? Here it looks like the other way around. The paint has a little luster to it, while the anodized parts are totally flat. So that's kind of odd. And you also have the side panel, the radiator panel mounts too. Those are the same gray color painted as the inside, and then that may bother some people. While we're at it with the gripes, they changed the screw colors here. I think these were black before, and that's what I would want with a black exterior, because these silver ones are going to stick out like a sore thumb, especially because this is what you use to attach the side panels to the frame. So they're very much on display. There are 3 types of screw. These are all M3. There's a pan head Torx. There's 2 lengths of countersunk used here. And they tell you the quantity in the manual, but my goodness, I wish they supplied these in separate bags. I'm not someone that usually minds having to sort out a few accessories in the bag, but we are talking 12, 32, 17, what is that? 61 screws to sift through. I mean, the thing is, this should be a killer case. We're talking about an SFF case that has big tower cooler compatibility. The thermals tested out best in class when I had the Mark 1, and although some of the parts had trouble with alignment and there was some overspray on some parts, I did not expect this on a retail ready version of this case. So it's very disappointing, and I think most users are expecting this, made in Sweden, to be a high quality, high end, high class product. And like I said, there have been bad cases that I've reviewed, but I could always at least build in them. So I hope this is just a first batch performance anxiety type thing, because you cannot expect to do this long term. So I hope to build in this case again soon. So hopefully there will be some positive updates soon. But main things I want to see improved: better packaging, better finish quality here, and I would love to see the finish sync up between the inner and outer parts of the case. So maybe it's too late for that. But I was going to say, can we get some mini-itx, vented front panel, or a little built-in protection on the back fan cutout? But you know what? That is just so far beyond, like astronomically beyond what this case really needs right now. So right now, users need to be able to put it together. So, Louqe, please fix this case.